Democrat of the day is looking to represent Champlin and parts of Coon Rapids. Zack Stephenson is joining us as he is running in 36A. He's kind enough to take some time to talk about his campaign. Hi, Zack. How are you today?
Well, now I'm hungry.
Well,
I
oh wow, it's you and I need to go to Victor's because that place is brilliant.
I love that place. It's great. I haven't been in a long time, but it's really good.
Oh, well, thanks for joining us. I appreciate the time. You have 36A. Once again, this is North Metro. You've actually got a really interesting quirk to your district, I've noticed. Your district is not connected. The Mississippi River actually separates it, so you have to actually leave your district to get to the other half of your district.
That's true. Yeah. We're kind of the redistricting leftovers up here in the northern suburbs.
The seat is an open seat. Republican Uglum not running. What made you say, you know what, I'm going to run and see if I can be the representative for 36A?
Well, I was running even before Mark decided not to run. And really, it was just I've got two little girls who are 6 and 3, and I'm really worried about the world that they're growing up in. I remember on election day last year, I'm a prosecutor for Hennepin County. I'm an attorney, and I was doing election protection day work that day up in St. Cloud. And I woke up very early because I had to drive up to St. Cloud. And I looked down at them and I thought, boy, these girls are going to grow up in a world where they think everything is possible because there's going to be a woman president, and they're just going to see that all the doors in the world are open to them. And then I spent the whole day up in St. Cloud trying to protect people's right to vote. Drove home in the dark listening to the radio and realized that my daughters were going to grow up in a very different world where the president was sending them a very different message. And that was unacceptable to me. And I realized then I needed to be doing more than what I had been doing. And so after some soul searching and talking to my wife, we settled on this. And we worked really hard all the way through 2017, trying to put together a strong infrastructure for our campaign. And in fact, very early in 2018, it came out that we had outraised the incumbent by 20-1 in 2017. And we had been door knocking the district. And on precinct caucus night, actually, Mark Uglum, the incumbent, announced he wasn't running again. We have been off to the races ever since.
Two things I want to bring up because of what you said. First of all, your story about your daughters is the exact same story as myself with my two daughters and my son. And I'm like saying to myself, this is really they're going to, this is where we're going to go. Okay. I will say this, it's been good because it has taught my daughters how to be active and that you can't take anything for granted when it comes to that realm. But I also do want to talk a little bit about the fact that I think what you talked about the Uglum pulling out of this race, the fact that you were active and engaged early and that you're in the district and you're working. This is not something a lot of Republicans were used to. And they could always already see the writing on the wall with a midterm election for a Republican president generally, filters down badly for the party of the president down the line. They could see that train coming. I think he got out of the way because I think he saw that this is, with active, engaged Democrats, especially after the election of Trump, that this was not going to be any cakewalk and that the days of him being able to take for granted a fairly easy race on the Republican side were over.
Well, and I think even more than all that, when you talk to voters up here in 2017 and into early 2018, they were saying that they were really concerned about healthcare and the rising cost of insurance and prescription drugs, that they were really worried about how our education system is in trouble, that class sizes are up to 35, 36 kids in a class, that they were really worried about the fact that we just can't seem to pass common sense gun law reform in the state of Minnesota. And, they knew who to hold accountable for those failures. Voters do. They understand who is standing in the way of those common sense ideas around healthcare and education and public safety. And so I think a lot of Republicans maybe got the message that the voters were going to be upset with them and ready to hold them accountable.
You said you're a prosecutor for Hennepin County, right?
That's right.
How did that job prepare you? How do you feel that job prepared you to go to St. Paul and represent 36A?
Well, being a prosecutor is all about holding people accountable for their actions. And I think, as I was just saying a minute ago, the voters in this area are ready to hold their government accountable. They want to see more accountability in government. And that's something that I am prepared to do because that's something I do every day. And I think it also gives me some perspective when people talk about how, oh, there's so much pressure from lobbyists and special interests and even party leadership to vote a certain way. I tell them, well, I walk into court every day and have to look criminals in the eye and tell them they're going to prison. No one's going to tell me how to vote. No one's going to buy my vote. I'll be using my independent judgment like I have to do every single day as a prosecutor.
But you're also, and let me get your thought process on this, because I imagine this is something that's weighed on you as well. If you look back at the last legislative session run by Kurt Doubt and the Republicans, as a prosecutor, you're used to following rules. There's a procedure that you take, and here they are throwing out the Omnibus Prime bill, this 1,000-page, loaded with pork, loaded with unpopular ideas bill, throwing it at Democrats with 2 hours before they have to vote it. They can't vote on it. They can't possibly read what's all in there, and basically screaming vote now. The process, if you respect the job, you're going to respect the process too. I imagine that didn't sit too well with you either when it comes to the way that the Republicans have distorted the process in St. Paul.
It doesn't sit well with me, and it doesn't sit well with people that I talk to all around Coon Rapids and Champlin for a lot of the reasons you talk about. When they roll up those bills into these huge 1,000-page bills, it's all about avoiding accountability, because they say, well, I voted for it because of this thing, not that other thing, and they put these things out in the middle of the night when no one's paying attention. Well, that's about evading accountability too. Our political process has just become completely devoid of accountability these days. It's a place where facts and evidence don't seem to matter anymore. And so you're right. It is really frustrating for someone who's a prosecutor who has to go into court every day and prove a case with facts and evidence, not ideology and wishful thinking. That makes the whole political process very frustrating, and is a big part of the reason why I'm running in the first place.
Your district here, once again, Zack Stephenson is joining us right now, 36A, Democrat of the day. The district you're in, Champlin and Coon Rapids, you're talking about a district, there are a few other ones in the metro area where there really are, to a point, depending on the election year, a toss-up. I mean, there's a lot of people that vote Republican, a lot of people vote Democrat. As you've been door knocking here, how has been your reception?
Well, it's been really positive because people are ready for a change. People do sense that things are moving in a bad direction as we see more of that Washington-style politics seep into Minnesota. And you're right. I always say this is the ultimate purple district in Minnesota. In fact, if you take all the districts in Minnesota and rank them from the one that went most strongly for Trump to the one that went most strongly for Clinton, my district is the median district. It's exactly in the middle. And so we need to win back this district if we have any hope of getting back into the majority in the Minnesota House. And that's why I've been working so hard to put together such a strong campaign. And I felt really good about the positive reaction we're getting when we talk to voters.
Well, and I should mention that 36B, your neighboring district, that's Melissa Hortman, who, I sure would love to see her as Speaker of the House. And I think for something like that to happen, we would need to have 36A as well go for the Democrats.
That's right. In fact, my house is right on the line in between. So the street in front of my house is the border between 36A and 36B. And I always tell people that I'm running because I want as good a representation as my mailbox has.
That's a good one. I like that. With a district that's that tight and that compact, how have been the volunteers? Have you been able to get to most of the houses in the district?
We've been through the district 3 times now as of this last weekend.
Nice.
And I've been door knocking. I really believe that that's what campaigns are all about, is the candidate getting out and talking to voters. And so I have been door knocking since May of 2017. Took a little break in December, but I was out the Saturday before the Super Bowl you might remember there was a blizzard. I certainly remember it very well. And all through the year, I was talking to people today, right before I called you, or we got on the phone. I was door knocking in a community in Champlin that I had been in back in March of earlier this year, 6 months ago, and I was happy that a lot of people there remembered me and were very positive in remembering the conversations we had 6 months ago.
And that's the key. And I don't care, Zack, which district you're in. I've talked to people, outstate districts, farming districts, Rochester, Duluth, metro area, suburbs as well, and it's the door knocking. And if you've gone over 3 times, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that's what gets results. And I think that's one thing the Republicans have banked on, is Democrats not doing the footwork, doing the door knocking. This time around, my goodness, the Democrats are knocking on doors left and right.
People are engaged, but having said that, we always need more people to come out. This is not a time to sit on the sidelines. This is not a time to spend your time tweeting or posting on Facebook. We need people to get out and have real face-to-face conversation with voters. That's how elections are won or lost in Minnesota. And I always tell people, you may be seeing good results in the polls right now. We may be having good conversations at the doors, but that can evaporate in an instant. We saw it happen 2 years ago. We saw it happen 4 years ago, where there was a dramatic swing against the Democrats in the closing stages of the campaign. So we need to really put the foot on the accelerator right now. And anybody who's interested in getting involved in my campaign can go to my website, which is zack.mn, zack.mn, and fill out a form. We have a million different ways to get involved.
How did you get that? Zack.mn? Nice get.
Well, thank you. Yeah. As it turns out, .mn is the .us for Mongolia. That's true.
But it works here.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, exactly.
All right, here's what I promise. Zack, when you're a representative, I'm going to come up to you. You talked about food a little bit earlier. Coming up to you when we get, you and I will go get breakfast in Champlain or Coon Rapids, one of your favorite locations up there, all right?
I love it. Sounds like a great, although if we're going to have a meal in Champlain or Coon Rapids, you really should come for lunch or dinner so we can go to Q Fanatic, which has some of the best barbecue in the Twin Cities. This is the most useful information I'm giving your listeners in this entire interview. Q Fanatic in Champlain has a phenomenal barbecue.
It's a deal. It's a deal. So if you want to help Democrats, and once again, there's a lot of great Democrats running. I'm in Cheryl Euachim's district in Hopkins, St. Louis Park. She's a great candidate. I've helped her out. But if you're in a district that's relatively safe, think about getting out into 36A. Help Zack with his campaign. Door knocking, phone calling, volunteering overall, donations as well. If you can help out, please do. Zack.mn, Zack, ZACK.mn. That's the website. If you can donate, volunteer, please help out Zack Stephenson in 36A. Zack, an absolute privilege chatting with you. All my best coming out here for November, and thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Have a great day.